everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connerton, and of course, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper with both a hand grenade and a Diet Coke.
Yeah, it's really weird. I haven't had actually alcohol for 30... It's a lot of years. 31, so what are we, 32?
Oh, not good at math.
Going on 32 years.
Yeah, wow.
And it's funny because I had a really rough day because my mom is wicked sick.
Yeah.
And they were giving her about a 50-50 chance of pulling through.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
And then there's the other variable. If she does pull through, she's got a do not resuscitate kind of.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to exist on,
life support and all that.
And all that crap, which is perfectly reasonable. But so over the next few days, if she doesn't get better, they're going to take out the air tube, and if she can't go on her own, they're going to let her go.
Yeah.
She wrote, it's so sad, because she wrote a note last night to the nurse, says, please let me go.
No kidding.
Oh,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
But when somebody's that uncomfortable, too, it's like one of my brothers said that if you talk to, some of the strapping, tough, kick-butt Marines, if they've been seasick for a couple of days, they're begging people to shoot them.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so it's relative. So it's gonna. We're probably gonna give it a couple more days, or 3 or 4 more days, and see what happens. And then, if it doesn't improve, and they take the tube out, and she starts failing, they're gonna just give her medication to make her comfortable.
But there's still a good possibility that she'll recover?
I don't know. That's the other thing. Is she recovers, she's got the problem is with her lungs. She had her appendix blew up.
Okay,
which should send her to the hospital, but no, she just took some Pepto-Bismol or something.
Oh, so I assume she didn't know.
She didn't know. No.
Appendix. Yeah.
And then, in fact, she gets her Social Security check on Friday or whatever. So I had to take her shopping to buy food. So she shopped for 4 or 5, probably at least 5 hours Friday. This would have been after the appendix burst.
Wow.
Then she got up Saturday morning, cooked the great-grandkids food, because she likes feeding people.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've lost 75 pounds since she's been in the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah. So
the
bright side, you got to look at the bright side.
Right, right, yeah.
And then Saturday afternoon, she didn't feel too good, so she went lay down. Sunday, I checked on her. Her stomach was bothering her. Will you mind getting me some toast? So I got her some toast, and then not this past Monday, but the Monday before, she said, "Will you?"
John's here.
Uncle John's here.
Yes.
You can stay there. You have the seat you can have the seat of honor. You get here first come, first serve, really.
Good evening.
Like that. Don't do that.
Just an example of what not to do.
Yes, nice going, John.
Education TV, right?
That's right. That's right.
Monday, whatever date that was, the called 911, and they found out that she had the ruptured appendix, and it had been that way for at least a week.
Wow, no kidding.
Which should have killed most people, but it didn't. And now but during the operation, she got crap into her lungs because she kind of threw up and went into her lungs. And
oh wow, okay.
And she also has COPD.
Okay, yeah.
From smoking the cigarettes for a long. She quit a long time ago, but her lungs are still messed up from this.
Yeah.
She's got a tube down her throat right now, and she just wants to go home. So we're gonna give her a few more days if it doesn't get better.
So the appendix isn't really a factor at this point,
No,
right?
actually,
it's
that's kind of making progress. So
yeah.
So anyway, so it's not. So I went over there at lunch when John was stuck there voting on stuff. I didn't get back till I think 2:30. I missed a couple votes.
Oh yes.
What did I miss?
I don't know what you missed, but you missed a lot of votes.
Thanks for sharing.
You missed a lot of votes, Gary.
Missed a lot of votes.
Yeah.
Well,
and the state will be a much different place because
is much
of your
worse off
vote.
just because of those
yes,
votes.
Yes, it's going to be much worse off because you missed those votes, Gary.
Thanks.
I don't want to make you feel any worse.
No, that's okay. That's good. So anyway, obviously our guest is Representative Heichel,
yes.
who I used to call John till he started picking on me. and Little Mel is filling in because John wasn't here,
Yes.
and then didn't.
Well, I'm glad she's staying
Yes.
because she makes the room look much nicer.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot.
Makes my perspective look much
Yeah,
nicer.
no.
that's for sure.
It does add a lot, but I'm just saying it would, you
Right.
know.
Ratings might go up. No, might go.
Yeah, yeah.
So we might get like 11.
You might get.
11 or 12?
Might get.
We might get up
two
to
phone
12
calls.
this week.
Yeah.
12 people that watch this. So that'd be
Awesome.
awesome. That would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah.
So, John wasn't elected pope, which kind of shocked me. I thought you were definitely a shoo-in on that one.
I
What
wouldn't have
happened?
accepted. I wouldn't have
The
accepted.
papacy? Or papacy, however you say it?
Papacy. I think.
Papacy?
Is it papacy?
I don't know.
There was Papillon, the movie, but I don't think that's the same thing.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
No, this is different.
I would have had to decline it because I don't speak Italian, and I really am on a low carb diet, so Italy just wouldn't be the right place for me
Right. Well,
Right.
that makes sense.
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not in the cards right now anyway because they already selected somebody from
But I do like angel hair
Argentina.
pasta. I mean, if that helps,
Well,
that was what considered me.
doesn't help
So-
now. They already had the white smoke, and it's...
So little Mel
I can wait.
pointed out
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
because the new Pope Francis the First was out there speaking to the people in Vatican City, and little Mel said he should be singing something. Go ahead.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, yes.
Right.
It's very true. We
That
should
is
have been singing that. I think. But yeah, so that'll be interesting. He's 75 years old. I thought they would have picked a younger guy.
They should have picked the guy from Boston.
Why?
Because it'd be great to have a Boston Pope. Be like, yeah, guy, look at the Vatican, dude.
Yeah,
He's got a point.
that's true.
Yeah, it would be a lot
we've
more
never had
real.
Dude, this is wicked.
There's never been an American pope, right?
Yeah, because he would be calling everything wicked, and that would be confusing.
Wicked awesome guy.
Wicked awesome guy. Yeah,
That's what the church needs, I think.
I
really.
think make it real.
Yeah.
I've been in the Vatican.
You have?
I have. I have a rosary made of real rose petals that was blessed in the Vatican when I was there.
That must be wild.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was.
Wow,
I was
what a
19.
place.
You were 19.
Yep.
So it was
It
last
was-
week,
Yeah, last
right?
Something like that.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
Was
ago.
It was
Yeah.
my high school graduation present. I got to go to Italy,
Yeah.
and so we went into the tour of the Vatican and everything.
Really?
Yep.
How
Wow,
did it,
that's quite a high school graduation
Yeah.
present, right?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't give me nothing.
Well, it's my aunt took me. She basically told me that I could pick any country, and she'd take me there. So I picked Italy.
That's wicked cool.
Well, I
Did you go
guess.
there for the? Why'd you go there? Pasta? The
Well, mainly because I'm 100% Italian, and I have like ancestors there and everything. And I just figured it was either that or England. And I'm like, if I don't go to Italy, I'm probably gonna regret it. And now my dad's really jealous of me. Because my dad's like parents are from Italy and he's never been, and his like daughter's been.
That's pretty cool.
That's
So
great.
yeah,
Yes.
it was awesome. I didn't pay for anything.
Really?
That's
Yep, the
better.
whole thing was paid.
yeah.
I think the only money I spent was on like souvenirs.
Is the Sistine Chapel as cool as a? Do they let you go in there in all those places?
They do, and they actually at the Sistine Chapel they have this letter from somebody, and they have it like in glass, and it's somebody complaining. And this is real. I'm not even kidding. Somebody complaining that they only saw one chapel, and there was supposed to be 16 of them. Like they legit.
Where
have
are
this
the
letter.
other 15?
Exactly.
I think I pulled that crap on Paul Ingridson was on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the Sistine Chapel, and he says, yeah, well, why didn't he paint the other 15? Were those like warm-ups or?
And I noticed he looked uncomfortable because he was trying to hold in that big laugh that was coming. He was trying to maintain his decorum.
Yeah, so it was tough on him. It
Yes,
was
yes.
tough. It really was. So what do we vote on today, Mr. Heigl? We had legalizing of marijuana did not go through.
No.
Because I wasn't there to vote on it.
That's right. It lost. Yeah, I think it tied, and if you were there, it would have won. So,
Yeah, by 100, because I make up that 100
You make
votes that
that
it lost
100
by.
votes, yes.
Yeah. And hemp went through.
Hemp went through.
So that's something you probably guys want to, you guys probably want to look into is growing some serious quantities of hemp to
Yeah.
make rope.
Yeah.
Rope.
And I don't understand that. Why do they need hemp to grow rope to make, why don't you just have nylon trees so you can do nylon rope?
Yeah, how come?
I don't think
You were there today. How come?
Yeah, how come? What was the argument against that?
that. Well, I don't think we gave that any. We didn't give that enough thought, Gary.
I should have asked.
We can do that next session.
Right, we
Yeah.
could do that next session.
If you had been there, you could have asked.
That's right.
right.
What else? What other?
I think hemp oil is a great. The hemp oil is a great lubricant. It's a great fuel. I think if we could grow it and we could process it here, we could probably eliminate our heating oil, or certainly affect the heating oil that we get out of Venezuela, for instance. And
Or
we could stop
Argentina.
dealing with that.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it around, trying to make connection there.
Right.
hey,
That's good.
right.
That's good.
That is good. Yeah,
Argentina,
Argentina.
just for those.
Right. Yeah. What?
Gentes les
What we did? What I learned today. I learned today that, you know how we have like 10% ethanol or corn ethanol in
Yes.
If you increase that to 15%, you're if a normal person spent $3,000 on gasoline for the year, if that ethanol went to 15% concentration, they would pay $4,000 for gas for that year.
Right.
Just because of how much more inefficient it is.
Right.
So it's not necessarily the price has gone down. It's just that the ethanol is so much less efficient than regular gasoline that it decreases the efficiency of the gas, and you end up having to burn a whole ton more to get the same mile, to go the same
I
distance.
didn't know that. That's
Plus, throw in an extra catalytic converter and a couple O2 sensors for the year.
Oh yeah, because it kills. That's
So-
what kills all your O2 sensors and everything.
Sure
right?
does, yeah. Yeah, we're not ready to burn that straight, but it's a good additive. But it's really not even. That was all farm subsidy kind of stuff from.
Yeah,
That was all.
that's where you have the what is it? Not the caucus. What do they do in Idaho?
Iowa.
Iowa caucus,
Iowa,
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, and because there's the Iowa caucus and all those politicians go up there and suck up and say, "Oh yeah, we'd never stop that farm subsidy."
Yep.
Oh yeah, the farm lobbyist is pretty powerful out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing it's probably everybody.
Why don't we get anything? Iowa gets people to buy corn ethanol, which they don't really need, and it's bad for their car. And then we have the primary in New Hampshire. What the heck do we get out of it?
Well, it's called pork. We get to pay for it.
We get pork. We don't get.
Yeah.
No.
Right. It's just a
I
constant
shouldn't
pork.
say that.
I don't know.
Speaking
Wow.
of pork,
I think
too
you can
late
say.
now.
I think you can say pork on TV.
yeah, pork. Because we had it
Yeah,
was.
but the past tense, I think, is the issue.
I can't keep track of tenses.
Can't say porked. Yeah. Oh, I just said it. I'm bad with tenses as well. I'm sorry.
I don't have any
apologize.
tenses. They had
I pet a pig today.
I know they
I
had
was
they
going to pet a pig and it almost bit me.
yeah they had like a potbelly pig out in front of the state house today because there was
Why?
I don't know why. People showed up with their dogs and we were all walking
what
out
were we
of the
gonna do,
session.
greyhound
Really?
racing or something today? That had something to do with the Humane Society had all these.
Yeah, they wanted to. That was one of the big votes, a kind of a big vote, but
Massachusetts did that a couple years ago.
What was
yes.
that?
Getting rid of the greyhound racing.
Yeah, but we weren't voting to get.
We
rid
got
of-
rid of greyhound racing here, but we voted today to not allow simulcast racing in New Hampshire from any track that doesn't report dog injuries.
Oh, is that what that was all about?
Yes.
I missed that vote.
Well, you missed a lot, apparently.
Yeah,
Missed a lot, yeah. I'm telling you, the state's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
oh,
It's
yeah.
all your fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. So that was
yeah,
that one. And
Yeah, and I was gonna ask the lady because she had the potbelly pig. I was gonna go up and say, "Does that one taste any better than the one I had for breakfast this morning?" You know?
Right. I pet it. I put my hand down to pet it. I want to feel what a pig feels like, but and he went, rah, and it just kind of like,
I heard their bites are like wicked bad.
Are they? Some of
Yeah.
us heard they make good pets, though. That they're smart and they make good pets.
I want a teacup pig.
A teacup pig.
Yeah, it's a little miniature pig. It doesn't grow. It's just the size of a teacup. They
Really?
call it teacup pig. Yeah.
Huh.
Do it on your little googly thing there.
Oh, I believe
Your
you.
googly thing. You got a googly thing?
Wow, we're not supposed to
Tea party
talk about
pig.
that on the air.
I don't think
I'm
we're-
on penicillin for it.
Yeah, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But the a teacup. So basically, You could just microwave your bacon first thing in the morning. You don't have to.
That'd
you
be
don't
convenient, yeah.
Yeah.
Just throw in the pig and
Throwing,
hit the buttons.
throwing a couple eggs with it, you're good to go.
So you never got to feel what it tastes like.
I didn't feel what it.
What it tastes like.
I
You
didn't.
never got to feel what it
I
tastes like.
didn't feel like. I didn't feel. Yes, I didn't get to feel the pig.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's probably like throwing a football.
it was.
Probably
It,
feels the same, right?
Right.
it looks.
but after-
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
like a shade football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
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 Well, technically, he's sinning by touching like pig skin because it doesn't say in the Bible that it's against. It's
To
one thing in the
touch?
Bible. You're not supposed to touch like pig or.
That's the
handle
Old
pig
Testament.
skin.
I'm not. No. That's okay.
Swine.
Swine. Yeah.
Right. You're not supposed to
Oh.
cast pearls to swine.
No, that's different. Casting pearls to swine is an analogy talking about spending time explaining spiritual and godlike matters to people that are basically such downtrodden pagans that it would be a waste of time.
To cast pearls, beautiful,
Cast pearls,
valuable
beautiful pieces of
pearls
wisdom
to a pig.
to somebody who would not even be able to receive them or understand them.
Right.
It's also a comic. Pearls to Swine.
It is?
Is it?
Yeah. In the Herald, I think. Boston Herald.
Huh. I didn't know that. But
But I've never been bit by a pig before. But that was
I heard they're kind, that's
Gotta be
kind of
careful.
poison. See, I'm because I'm a little bit of a. This was half serious and half comical. If you look, pigs are actually very good with the sense of smell. They use them in Spain, I think it is, or maybe even Italy, for hunting for truffles
oh yeah.
because they can smell a truffle X number of feet below ground. And I thought if they're that much, maybe they're that much more effective than dogs, then we should really use pigs to find illegal drugs.
Oh, yeah.
But there would be a certain amount of irony if they were walking around with those.
Right. People would make jokes like,
No, would they?
look at the pig with the pig.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I talked about that like last year or something about my war pig.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had a picture of a war pig, I called it, and it was to sniff out, to go along ahead of the troops to sniff out IEDs. And it would aggravate all the Muslims in the country when you're doing it at the same time. It would be like a double whammy. It would be awesome.
They'd all be dropping just on
And
the
if one
first
of 'em-
wave of
and
pigs.
if one of them blew up,
We'd have to forget about the
Breakfast.
whole winning hearts and minds aspect of war, but,
General Pershing, I don't believe this is an interesting one. I don't know how true it is. I haven't really researched that well. General Pershing, and I forget when it was. I think early 1900s. Went over there, and he was having the same problem with the Muslims because we've been not every Muslim, but the Muslims in general. We've been fighting for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at a map, Muhammad started here. Then he took over like parts of Palestine and this, and then went down across South Africa up into Spain, and it was like, if you want to see what a lot of what happened to the Roman Empire, that was it. It was
Yeah.
the spread of the Muslim faith,
Islam.
because they not only expect you to, they basically expect you to convert when you get there, and that's it.
Gary, excuse me one
But-
second. Hi, Mom. How you doing? Mom, believe it or not, I'm on a TV show right now on Manchester TV. I'm on a TV show right now in Manchester TV. So, you want to say hi to Gary and Mel and Matt?
All right, I better leave you alone.
Say hi, Mom. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi, Ma.
Hi, Mom.
everybody.
Everybody's saying hi, Mom.
That's
Hi.
my wonderful son.
Yes.
I love him dearly.
Well, good.
Yep.
And
Mom,
Somebody's got to.
what? You're on speak.
I
Speakerphone, Mom.
checked on what you and I were discussing this morning.
Yeah, Mom, you're on. Mom. Hey, Mom, I'm on TV right now, and this is live Manchester TV. I'll talk to you all about that right after the show.
Yes, I will. Yes.
Love you, Mom.
Wonderful. Have a good time.
We're all
Thank
coming
you,
over
Mom.
for dinner.
Yeah, bye, Mom.
Oh, it's very nice. Very nice.
She's the greatest, 91 and a half, lives alone, doesn't want to move out of the
Good
house.
for her.
We call each other all day. I lost my dad a year and a half ago.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so best friend I ever had.
Yeah.
Just greatest people.
Wow.
So
And she still likes you, even though you're a Republican.
and she's had plenty of reasons not to like me over the
No way,
over the
really?
years. Yes, and but boy, never left for a minute. So I'm not gonna. I just won't. And
Yeah.
if she wants to stay, she doesn't want to move here with me. She's in Maine. She's happy doing that.
Wow.
So
for her.
yep, she wants to stay there. So I drive there on weekends and make sure she's good.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
back to General Pershing. He this is what he did, because remember, this fight's been going on forever, and people think that it's the we imperialists are always attacking the Muslims and they're the victims in this scenario. Not really. But anyway, Pershing had a situation. I don't know what the situation was, but fundamentally what he did is, I think there was he had 10 hostage guys after a battle, and he shot 8. He dipped the bullets in pig's blood and shot 8 of them, and then let 2 go, and then he didn't have any trouble with them after that, because
Huh.
supposedly that they were doomed from that one act. But anyway,
A lot of history in that part of the world. I can firsthand. I'm Lebanese, by the way, and my mother and father and grandparents. My grandparents all came from there.
now that was
Back
back
when they
that was when it was Christian.
That's when it was Syria. Actually, they came because Lebanon is a relatively new country.
Right.
It was carved out of that area for the Christians to have a safe place to be, as Israel, where the
Right.
Jews had a safe place to
Theoretically, yeah.
be. Theoretically, and so the Syrians and the rest and the other Arab countries, Syria, Lebanon was a part of Syria, French occupied, and so I have a lot of experience. All of my relatives came here 100 years ago or so, or a little bit more, because they were being slaughtered by the Ottoman Empire and
Muslims.
the Turks.
Yeah.
So, but some of them, some of them are very good friends of mine. Today, but this
Yeah.
is America. But over there, there's still a tension between.
A lot of tension, because that's I listened to a lot of people that were from Lebanon more recently, and from what I understand, it was, by its constitution, was a Christian country.
Yep.
They controlled, I think, parliament, and they had the what might be the prime minister or whatever.
Right. They have-
And over time, the Muslims just keep
the Syrians kept coming into
Syrian
the country.
Muslims and
Yep.
from Hezbollah and everything else kept intruding, and they would do things like they would shoot at the Jewish settlements or the Jews from a place where that if the Jews shot back, it would most likely hit a Christian
Right.
home. And it was deliberate. And then when the Christian home and the little kids got killed, then they could say, "Oh, see,
Yeah.
the Jewish people are, killing little children again." It's a brutal, because Lebanon used to be. I don't
jewel
know
of the
what,
Middle
50,
East.
50 years ago, it was like the jewel of the Middle East,
It
right?
was. It was the most beautiful, historic. Some of the land that my grandfather had that I now have and have deeds to, I should say.
Have is probably relative
Right
term at
outside
this
of
point.
right outside of Syria are places where Jesus actually walked. I mean, this goes back. The history of that area is thousands of years old. Really,
Right.
I'm going to go over there anyway this summer. I hope.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I've got a lot of friends, and we've got family I've never met.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take an adventure and go. But I have a lot of look forward to it. I want to see the birthplace of my grandfather and grandparents.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we have, I'm real familiar. I've heard all the stories. I understand how the Middle East was made, why they carved it out. The British Empire controlled the Arabian Peninsula
For a while.
for quite a while, and they knew that there was a lot of oil there, and they divided it up into these countries. So they made sure that these tribes.
That was right before World War II, right? It was in the early 1900s?
Yep, 19.
Because before that, it was just basically tribes.
Basically tribes, right? And they divided those up into Yemen, Qatar, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, and all these. They divided it up to make sure that tribes had oil because they knew what that was, what the value of that stuff was. And then they also knew that they needed to get out of that area because they could never thoroughly or control it like they'd like to.
Because then the Germans came in after that, right?
So a lot of, I mean, it's history, going back to the Phoenicians, going back to, the trade route. It was the main trade route between North Africa and Europe, for instance,
Right.
and Asia. I mean, everybody came through Lebanon, or the area where Lebanon is located.
Well, a lot of that was because, from what I understand, was because the almost pirates, Muslim pirates, would decimate sea travel in the Mediterranean.
Sure.
Because it used to be when Rome controlled it was it was just a short voyage right across the Mediterranean to Egypt and doing all the trade. But once the Muslim pirates started taking the seas over, it became less and less able to do that because they kept sinking cargo and killing people.
Right.
And they ended up having to go over land through Turkey and.
Right. And they've got the Tripoli and Beirut and Saida. These are deep water, major port cities, and the only ones. I mean, I think it's the only coastline on the Mediterranean coming from that area. I mean, it's the most.
Lebanon?
Yeah. And it was the major trade route, and it was places where wealthy Arabs, oil people from the Saudis and the other Arab countries who don't really condone partying too much, they could go to Beirut, and that's how they used to go there. I mean, they'd go there and have a vacation. They'd have a real great time, and then go home and
pretend that they were.
What happens in Lebanon stays in Lebanon. Or you get, or they,
So what happens in Lebanon? That's pretty good. That's awesome.
Right. So that's what but we have a lot of history there, and it's a beautiful country. It's in this turmoil, and I think there's oil there. We know there's oil there offshore. There's probably
the other thing too is I said it on the show last year that I kind of figure a lot of this undermining of the Syrian government probably has a lot to do with trying to get a pipeline through Syria and up into Turkey without going through Russia.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning
Right.
that.
I don't know that that's true, but it seems to make sense because the Syrians were making a deal with the Russians and it was going to kind of bypass and then if you can completely disrupt Syria and have whoever, they don't care if it's Muslim Brotherhood as long as they get their pipeline,
Right.
that sound about.
It sounds very right. And actually, there's refineries on the coast of Lebanon.
Okay.
And so a lot of this oil goes right through the country and into other places. And, it's the main port. It's where they can, because if you're in the, you get the Suez Canal going through between Africa and the Middle East right there. But then on the other side of the Arabian Peninsula, you've got the Persian Gulf. And if you're out there, you need to go through the Indian Ocean or all the way around Africa.
Right.
So the easiest way is right through Lebanon, and that's, hopefully that, we've been saying that for my whole life and probably everybody else's life for the last 150 years. We wish it could just be, why can't we just go there and vacation and enjoy the fruits of this? I mean, it's so.
Yeah, it's amazing that people can't just get along.
Right.
It's insane.
I mean, and it's amazing that we spend a lot of time in Afghanistan and we spend a lot of time in these countries that, frankly, I mean, other than an oil trade route, maybe I'm not really sure why we're in some of these places.
Let's look at it.
And we've got Haiti right off of our board, right off our shore, one of the most poorest countries in the world, and then we've got Cuba with a dictator 70 miles off our shore. There's a lot of, Lebanon is a place that just strategically and economically, I think that's a place that we should be assisting, not places that are supporting these terrorist groups in the middle of the mountains.
It's all really a setup. If you look at the war in Iraq, it started with the premise that Saddam Hussein was an evil, scummy guy. And remember, every time the American government wants to kill anybody, they first tell you how scummy they are.
Yep.
He was on our side. He was.
Yeah,
we gave him those weapons of mass destruction that we were looking for because he needed to keep Iran at bay.
Right.
During
our enemy's enemy is our friend.
That's right. Yeah. So our enemies kind of come and go. I mean, it depends on
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Because the if you remember back to the beginning of the first Gulf War, it was clear that Saddam believed that it was okay with the United States to attack Kuwait. Kuwait was digging under Iraq
Right.
and stealing oil from underneath it.
Right.
Yeah, it was April Glaspie, I believe was her name, the ambassador, who told Saddam, I think the night before he moved on Kuwait, that your border disputes are of no concern to us.
Right.
Do what you want.
But then she denied it afterwards.
Right, of course,
yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, they were tapping into.
Is your mother calling again?
No,
What's going
that's-
on, John?
I don't know. That's
Maybe something pertaining to one of the votes you missed today. Some new information.
No, I don't think so.
no, that's sales call.
What
Maybe
so what else? What other things we voted on some good stuff today, and I forgot what it was, or not necessarily good, but significant, I should say. It was 1 in the morning. I was there for.
I missed it. I was in a meeting. I had 2 meetings in Manchester this morning. I didn't get
Oh,
there
okay.
at 11:30.
Because I forgot my, you get the cheat sheet from the HRA
Yes.
with you?
No. I left it.
I forgot it in my truck. And I know there was another one I wanted to talk about. But anyway, we're going to come on and talk about
Oaths
of office.
Yes.
What is the?
Well, I did it on Matt's show, and Mel was there
Well, I
listening
wasn't
one
there,
night.
so you're going to have to repeat yourself.
You
Yeah,
weren't there.
yeah, he wasn't there. He wasn't there for.
He
some of the
wasn't
votes
there
today.
again.
He wasn't there. I wasn't there for
Right.
that. Do you show up for anything ever?
Right,
Jeez.
where's Gary?
I'm
All
surprised you
right,
show up for
that's
the
it.
show every
That's
week.
it. That's it.
Oh, I was knew this moment would come.
I just happen to have an oath on me, Gary.
Is it mine? Do I have plausible deniability, or
Well, I
Actually, John, can you pull that mic a little closer to you? You're just really far away from me.
sure. I know I'm.
To make sure everybody can hear you.
Yeah, as I've been saying, and I also want to say that April 13th,
wait, John? You just said I want to say.
I would like to say, may I say?
Oh, you can just say it.
You just say it. You
We're
don't
not
have
big on formality here.
Yeah.
That was
just spit it
violating
out.
my First Amendment right of free speech.
Well, that's true. I say don't say that you're
Yeah.
But
going to
if
say
I say
it.
may I say, he's asking permission to have his First Amendment rights. That seems
That's true. You shouldn't have to ask
I
permission
shouldn't have
for
to
your
ask
rights,
permission
yeah.
for my right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So we're actually enforcing your First Amendment right.
or harassing you while you're
Or
trying to
harassing
express
me.
it.
Well, that's
Yes.
probably more
Yes, I
accurate.
think
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
harassment.
Okay, anyway,
Jack Kimball, for those of you who've heard of Jack
Jacques.
Kimball.
I call him Jacques.
Jacques.
Yeah, Jacques. Yeah,
Jacques
That's nice.
Kimball. Jacques Kimball.
Jacques Kimbeau. Yeah,
He ran for governor a few years ago.
yep.
And since that experience, and then he was the chair of the...
No. Wait. Did he ran for Senate? He ran for United States Senate against Kelly Ayotte and Ovid Lamontagne.
Matt, he ran against John Stephen in a primary about 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. That's a different one then.
Yes.
It's the same guy, just a different race.
Same race, different day, different...
Wasn't he one of the ones
No.
that ran against for the Senate though?
I am so confused.
No. No, he didn't. Because
This
don't
is
listen.
like who's on first.
Yeah, don't... Yes,
I'm
right.
lost.
Right. Okay, I'll straighten it out.
right.
He ran for governor, and him and John Stephen were in a primary to see who would run in the governor race.
Okay.
He lost, and after that, we voted him in. But he was a real he was an activist and a patriot and freedom-loving guy. So we got together and
Does
voted
he show
him
up for votes?
in as the GOP state chair.
He didn't even get distracted by that.
No.
Close. Go ahead.
He's good. He's
Yes,
focused.
he's getting
Getting
there.
better, right?
Yeah.
So he was a GOP state chair for a
Right.
short-lived time because there was some issues and things happening, and that politics is brutal and bloody and sometimes takes out some really good people. So he stepped down, and another replacement came in behind him. And now he's an activist, and he's concerned about our oaths of office. And I saw that on Facebook one day, so I called him and we got together last week and we talked about how our oath of office, how I think our oath of office is so important because it's the cornerstone of all of the votes that we take and the reason that we're allowed to sit in that room and make these votes. Because if we didn't sign our oath, then they won't even allow us in there. So that's the cornerstone. That's the beginning of it. And our oath of office, for instance, is in the.
Now, this is for state rep. It doesn't vary that much for different offices, does it?
It doesn't vary at all. The wording of it doesn't. It's Article 84 in the Part 2, Article 84 in the New Hampshire Constitution.
Okay.
Or is it 86? I always get that. Anyway.
One of those numbers past 7.
It's way up there, right? Right. So and it specifically says how to take an oath. It says what the words will be in the oath. And what's in the oath of office, in our oath, is pretty clear that I found some discrepancies between our oath and every other oath taker's oath. For instance, I have the Attorney General's oath. I
Right.
have Notary Public's oath. I've got Commissioner's oath. I have Sheriff's oath, which is different than all of them, in a way, in a very slight way. But what I found is that they all had the oath that we took
Right.
on Organization Day,
Yeah.
right? So when we take it, there's actually 2 oaths on that piece of paper. Most folks just got elected. They're just moving through this process with all the good intentions possible. So they give them this piece of paper
Speak for yourself.
and say, I am.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, let's not be presumptuous, John.
Right.
about this
Right.
thing,
right. So our oath, and I have a copy of it somewhere, but our oath, there's 2 oaths on this piece of paper.
Right.
And in the Constitution, there's 2 oaths. I, John Heichel of Goffstown, do solemnly swear that I will bear faith and full allegiance to the United States of America and to the state of New Hampshire, and will support the Constitution thereof, so help me God.
Right.
One oath. I, John Heichel, do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform the duties incumbent on me as a state representative, according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God.
Right.
In the Constitution, after that oath, after those words, if you were a Quaker or you don't subscribe to taking oaths, then you would affirm. So if you're not going to do it by swearing to God, under God, which is a major power to upset and to not be truthful to,
Correct.
you pay dear prices for that. If you don't feel that fits your description of who you are, you affirm.
Well, the Bible specifically says
You would-
don't swear to God and don't swear to things. Have your word be your word, and I think that's where the Quakers get that.
So they get it, and if people if people just don't believe in God, for instance, or they don't believe in...
Well,
then-
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think that oath of office was intended to allow atheists. I'm willing to bet if you look back into it, that was not the case.
Well, that's what we're going to do, and that's what my bill is going to allow us to do on a study committee, because I have the Constitution right here. And what it says is...
Because remember, back at the same time that was written, if somebody was an atheist, they weren't, in some states, even allowed to testify in court, because they did not believe in God. It was presumed that they did not have obedience and or reverence for a higher power, so therefore they could not be trusted as far as their word in a court of law. So atheists weren't allowed to testify in some states in the Union.
They might not be able to testify, but this is what the Constitution says. Provided always, when any person, chosen or appointed, as aforesaid, shall be the denomination called Quakers, or shall be scrupulous of swearing, and shall decline taking the said oaths, such person shall take and subscribe them, omitting the word swear, and likewise the words so help me God, subjoining instead thereof, this I do under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's pretty clear what it says.
Right.
I know what the folklore might tell us, but this is what I'm believing.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm believing what I'm reading.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but believing what you're reading is good, but you also have to believe it and read it in context of when it was written. It's not necessarily, like, for instance, you and I couldn't take that oath at all unless we were Protestant 200 years ago.
correct. I would
Okay.
agree with that, sure.
Okay, so, if we're going to go down that path, an atheist I'm quite certain was not included in that. A Quaker, I guess they were allowing that to be of a Protestant denomination. I'm not sure.
I don't know, because
But I
there
do
are-
know there are people that at that time that did not believe in swearing or swearing because of what it says in the Bible about that. But it wasn't because they didn't believe in God.
Right. I don't know that, Gary.
Okay.
And the reason for this whole conversation that I'm going to bring forward is that I have sponsored a piece of legislation to study what this word says. It's Part 2, Article 84
Yeah.
of the New Hampshire Constitution. This happens
For
to be
what,
one...
for what end?
For what end? Good question. Because we're exactly, why spend all this time if it doesn't get us any different or any change?
Right.
If I look at our legislators' constitution, now this is the difference. On a notary, a commissioner, an attorney general, a judge, whether it be district, superior court, all of the oath takers
Yep.
and sheriff, all of the oath takers who get their power from the legislation, from the
Yeah.
legislators, or the legislature, right? A lot of words in there.
I trip on that too.
Right, so all of those oath takers that get their powers to do what they do from the legislature. If you look at the legislator's oath, these are all basically set up the same.
Yeah.
All of the ones that I mentioned. The legislator's oath is set up much differently with the same words. For instance, on all of those oaths, they're signed under the first oath, they're signed under the second oath,
Right.
and they're notarized by two JPs or a JP and a notary.
Right.
Legislator's oath
It's not no.
are only signed one time and they're not notarized. There's also a discrepancy where at the bottom of our legislative oath, there is a black line
Right.
that doesn't say anything on it. It's just a black line. And about an inch above it is the word signature. What is different and these all come out of the same office, so it would be very easy for them all to be the same.
Right.
Wouldn't be difficult at all. But on all of those other oath takers' oaths, the word signature is on the signature line.
Right.
Ours is a black line at the bottom of the page, some obscure black line. Is it a border? Is it a typo?
Yeah.
Where'd that black line come from? Because the word signature is about an inch or an inch and a half above that black line.
Right.
So what I'm trying to find out is why our oath, not to mention, in all of these other oaths, they say constitutions thereof, plural. In the 1977-78 Constitution for New Hampshire, it says in the first oath, it says support the constitutions, plural, thereof.
So meaning both the state and the federal constitutions. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
inference,
because
right?
it's saying, yes, exactly, because it's saying you'll uphold the United States of America and the New Hampshire Constitution.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna take it. We get a call, so let's.
Oh, do we? Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that. Oh, are you sure?
I was trying to wait for a good breaking point.
Oh no, we don't. I know what you saw on the screen though. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
Yeah, we don't have.
Those guys made a mistake. I thought that was
Yeah.
my job.
It's only the Pope who's infallible.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that station identification. Now, looking at this oath, now being two oaths here, I'll explain to you, the first part of this is an oath swearing to the people. These are the constitutions. We all have these rights. When somebody says, the Constitution, you're taking away my Second Amendment right. No. For instance, or you're taking away you're violating my Fourth Amendment, you're taking away my right. Well, really, we have these certain inalienable rights that were given to us by our Creator.
Right.
And man just put them down on paper so we could say, here, read this if you have any questions.
to give us an idea
We
of what
already
those.
have these rights.
Yeah, it wasn't to say the government is giving you those rights. Those rights are an acknowledgement of your God-given rights.
Absolutely. Right. So the Constitution doesn't guarantee us any rights. Our rights we already have our rights. The Constitution guarantees that somebody will be able to read and see what our rights are.
Yes.
If they have any questions.
Yep.
So the first oath here is to the people. It's to the United States of America and the state of New Hampshire, and will support the constitutions thereof. The constitutions are a contract to protect the people from a government.
Right.
The second oath, and it's so clear, once you read these words, you really pick apart each word, because words have meaning. Like elections, words have meaning.
Right.
According to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of this Constitution, and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God. The laws of the state of New Hampshire, I think, are the statutes.
Right.
So we have an oath to the people, and we have an oath to the corporation. That corporate seal, that ship sitting
Right.
on dry dock,
Yeah.
right? That ship sitting in dry dock that should be out to sea with its sails wide open, with the wind, pushing it, is sitting in dry dock, and the wind's coming from the back of it, and it's just kind of blowing the flags around. But you can see that either the oars are down, or these are the timbers that would steady it when it's sitting in dry dock, right? So we don't use the oath of the people, of the organic oath, which we have. There's two oaths. There's this one, there's the corporate seal, and then the organic seal for the people, which is
Right.
the 5 arrows and the fish, and right?
Yeah.
So we don't use that one on any of our stationery, which I wish we would, actually. But the reason we don't
organic
is
one?
because the organic for the people.
Yeah.
I think we use the seal of the corporation because it's quite possible that our oath that we swore is to the corporation. Maybe it's only to the second oath. What if there was 10 oaths on this page?
It sounds.
It's one signature.
Would one signature
yeah.
on some obscure line at the bottom of the page cover 20 oaths if there was 20 oaths written on this page?
Well,
My guess is all the other oath takers would have signed each one of those 20 oaths.
Right.
First, there's a couple things. One, it sounds like there's two separate oaths. One is to the Constitution. The other one is to the people and the laws of the
One's
state.
to the state, corporation,
Right.
and
But
one is to the people.
In other words, you're obligated to the Constitution first, and to the laws of the state second. That's the way
They are, clearly,
because we signed it.
that's what I'm going to find out. That's part of my study, and I'm hoping we all did sign it. But the reality is, why didn't we sign it like every other oath taker?
I'm willing to bet it's like everything else. If you look at the legislators, typically, and like when you look at the United States Congress, I think is a very good example. They tend to cut themselves a lot more slack than they do anybody else. It's like that's why they get such nice health care and they all and all that other crap.
Well, we don't.
No, I'm talking about.
That's Congress.
I'm talking about the inclination of the legislature to cut themselves slack, and so maybe ours is not as formal. Because there's 400 of us, and it would be kind of tedious.
That's not a good excuse. But then
No, I'm not saying it's a good excuse.
Not when we're dealing with an $11 billion budget and a million people's
well, yeah, don't get
lives.
mad at me. So
I'm not. I'm just trying to. We're dealing with the way
I got
things.
some land in Lebanon you can buy. No, but I just wonder if it's just that they just cut themselves some slack and made everybody jump through hoops, everybody else. Is that the only primary difference? Say, you said the sheriff was a little bit different.
Well, the sheriff, Jim Hardy, that I have his oath, Hillsborough County Sheriff, good guy, good friend.
He's a nice guy, yeah.
He's been on the show.
I really like Jim. Yeah, he's a great guy, great friend.
Little Mel, have you taken any oaths today?
I don't think I've taken an oath since I was in Girl Scouts.
What was that? Did you have to have that notarized?
No, I don't think so.
How can you take an oath in Girl Scouts? How old were you?
Girl Scouts? 12?
So if you're 12, how can you take an oath?
They have the Girl Scout oath, or I don't know what it is, but you have to take an oath, and I think I had to do it when I was,
yeah,
a, brown, when I was
yes.
a brownie.
Yes, but fundamentally, you can't sign a contract till what, 17 or
18.
18.
18 legally, yeah.
Okay, so legally, you can't take an oath when you're 12. It is not binding. You could break like that.
Yeah.
They made us repeat a bunch of words.
Yeah.
I was a Girl Scout.
They made you repeat a bunch of words.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal.
More like an indoctrination, it sounds like, less like an oath.
Like Hitler
Hitler
Brownie.
Youth, yeah.
sellers.
Yeah.
The Hitler cookie sellers.
Girl Scout these days. Please.
We're actually,
Yeah,
we're
I've
almost
got.
out of time.
We're almost,
Anyway, I can-
we got
I-
like 2 minutes, John.
I can bring you right up to speed here. I can look for. I don't know why I can't find the sheriff's thing.
I still like you.
The sheriff only, the same wording, signs it twice on the signature line, but it's only witnessed by one JP, not
Okay.
two, and it doesn't give the choice of a JP or a notary. JP and notary or 2 JPs. It's just simply one JP.
Have you asked the Secretary of State about why?
Yes.
And what did he say?
He said that the words are the same, and they are the same. And I'm just asking, and so I asked him, I said, well, if everything is the same, why is ours so much different?
Right.
Because all the others are basically the same. Why are ours so much different? Why don't we give us the same one that they have, and then all this study goes away, because then I know that we're all swearing our oath to the constitutions and the people and the corporation.
Right.
So he didn't, he didn't feel terribly necessarily comfortable, and Bill Guy is a great guy. I mean, the best of the best. But surprisingly enough, in the committee, it came out of committee unanimous,
To what?
form a study committee, and find out these answers because of the typo in the Constitution. I found an actual typo, Gary, from the 1977 Constitution to the 2010 Constitution, 2011, 12, or the newer ones. So there's a typo in that oath, where constitutions are plural in the old one, and in the oath taker's oath, and all the other oath takers. Our oath is Constitution, and in the new Constitution, it's singular.
Okay.
So even Secretary of State Gardner suggested to the committee that we pass this unanimous, and we're going to change the Constitution. He's going to change the typo if it was ever amended without anyone. I don't think that ever happened. It's probably simply a typo.
Right.
Right.
But when a mechanic, I own an auto repair shop, right? So when a mechanic reads scholars read these every day.
Yeah.
There are people that can recite this backwards. But when a mechanic looks at it one time and says, there's a difference, it's something that I need to just dig into, just my own satisfaction. I've done it 2 years there.
We got to wrap it up, and I want to thank you, John, but I just got to ask you one more question.
Depends.
What? Well, I can ask you anyway.
Yes, you can.
Whether you answer it or
It's your
not,
First Amendment right.
right?
Yes.
Am I right?
Exactly.
And it's my second.
You said there are
Amendment
people
right
that can they can quote that backwards. What would be the point of that?
now. It would sound like
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Who knows what kind of messages are in there?
the Beatles
Yeah.
album. The
Yeah.
Beatles album.
It would be. It'd be
Yes.
exactly like
The White
the Beatles
Album.
album.
Yes, yes.
That'd be
Abbey
terrible.
Road or the
I know.
Beatles? Well, White Album, right? Yeah.
White Album, yeah, backwards. Or Led Zeppelin, Starway to Heaven, or something like that.
Right. So that would be the purpose of reciting
so.
it backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, hey, we gotta go. John, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Mel, I love you.
And you
All right.
know, Saturday Night Live, Justin Timberlake got the 5-time jacket. Did you see that?
Yes, I saw that.
One of the
yeah.
greatest Saturday Night Lives in years.
Yeah, it was good.
Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, there were a bunch of them were on it. That
Yeah.
was great.
All
When
right.
was that? Last week?
Saturday,
Yeah.
Saturday night.
All right, we gotta go.
I'll see you guys.
He's a little
Bye, everybody.
slow.